Hello everyone. It looks like I am live. Can chat let me know if they can hear me okay? We are here. I see we have Piyush, we have Mario, we have Sebi. Thank you to Mario and Sebi for uh, moderating this chat. Much appreciated. I'm sure nothing bad's gonna come in there. Looks like we also have Richmond, who's been on my podcast. He's doing some awesome computer vision stuff. He's on Medium. You should definitely check him out. Looks like we're getting a lot of really fun and interesting people, and we got Luke Baruch. Oh, if you haven't checked out his channel as well, I highly recommend it. We might have a little secret collaboration video coming up, and I definitely recommend checking that out. We also have a guest appearance from my my dinosaur, if we can get it in the frame back there. I've been fooling around with this camera. Don't really know how well it's gonna work, but before I forget, I also might have another guest appearance of my roommate. So we'll see if he ends up joining and stop playing the ukulele downstairs. But this stream is to celebrate essentially the community here growing to over 150,000 people. To me, that's something that's unbelievably, I couldn't have imagined it. I don't like to say that we're celebrating me getting to 150,000 subscribers because frankly, that's not what it is. Everyone has to join and be a part of this for us to continue to grow and to create awesome communities, whether it's through my videos or whether it's around the 66 Days of Data initiative. There's just so much fun stuff that's circulating this channel and this broader community that I'm a little giddy that it's come so far. Also want to shout out John David from How to Get an Analytics Job. He's tuning in. I tuned into their stream a little bit late this morning, but they're doing incredible stuff over there. I've been on their podcast, and it's awesome again that it's not just people who are viewers of my videos or a part of the community in that way. It's also other creators that are joining us for this pretty exciting day. So before we get going, I do have my papaya. I will be eating that as we go here. Hopefully it won't be like too gross. It is a very sensual fruit, so I don't want to turn anyone off by the by the papaya eating. Hi, Michael. But yeah, we might as well get going. I'll start answering some of the Q&A that came in via YouTube comments, via LinkedIn and Twitter, and I'll also answer a bunch of the questions that are coming in through the chat. I'm going to try and keep those in mind. I think Mario and Zebi, if there's any questions that I missed, just shoot me a note in Discord, and I'll try and make sure that I stay on top of those. Perfect. All right, let's change my view here. Let's see if I can get that going. Perfect. So as it turns out, I'm going to go from newest to oldest. We're going to get through all the questions that were asked today. A lot of them are from, again, some of my good friends and also some of the incredible community members here. The first one does happen to be from my good friend, the Data Professor. He is actually one of the first YouTubers that I collaborated with. And you know, it's awesome that to see his channel grow, to be able to work with him more, to have him on my podcast, to learn from him, because he has a very different take on data science and very different experiences than I have. So let's see what his question said. So congrats. Thank you. So what do you think an unexplored or underexplored area in data science is that we should care more about? And what advice do you have for embracing this underexplored area? Admittedly, I did not prepare for this. This is a pretty deep question. I think that a lot of the specifics of subject area expertise are really relevant. So I'm never going to be someone that is, in my mind, pushing the cutting edge of the data science algorithms, but I'd be happy to be one of those people that's pushing the cutting edge of how we apply a lot of the new algorithms that come out. So something that's been really relevant to me, and I might have a little project associated with this coming in the next year or so, is understanding audio data and understanding how we can use that in real time or even video data to enhance conversation, to enhance human interaction. So we get so wrapped up in how technology or Zoom meetings, for example, they're less useful or they're less impactful than a one-on-one meeting. What can we do? How can we leverage data science, analytics, and technology to make one-on-one meetings or I'm sorry, digital meetings, Zoom meetings, whatever it might be, as interactive and as beneficial as a one-on-one interaction in person? So that's something that I think would be really neat, and I'd love to see more 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 stuff in that domain. So the next one is from Michael, who I know is in the chat. And so how descriptive should you be in your projects? I know you said you should be descriptive in the README and the GitHub, but sometimes I see Jupyter notebooks with no descriptions of plots, models, etc. Coming from a physics background, I've been taught to never have floating plots in your reports, meaning they are thrown in without discussion. Whereas on Kaggle, for example, it seems it's common to generate histograms of all your variables or use df.describe and to not talk to them. I think it really depends. If the visual is for you to understand the data and make decisions from, I don't think it really matters if you label them that much. On the other hand, if the visual is created so that you're conveying information to the reader, then I think it's really important that you should always be explaining them or having notes around them. So it's all about the audience versus if it's useful for your own information. Honestly, I like to put comments on even the histograms that I make or some of the internal plots, just so I remember when I go back to these scenarios in general. Let's see, are there any questions from the chat? Someone was asking if I peel the papayas. No, I just cut the papayas. So these are the Hawaiian sunrise papayas, and they have an orange skin and orange internal. I much prefer these to the Mexican red papayas or some of the other papaya varieties out there. They have a very fresh taste compared to a more like a kind of funky taste that some of the other ones have as well. I see a lot of love for Data Professor in the chat, so much deserved. I think it's like some weird time in the morning for him, so I don't think he'll be tuning in, but I'm glad that he could come up. We have a lot of other, I think, somewhat celebrity guest questions that are coming in. So next we have Wizzy Wiz. So after undergrad, is a master's in data science a good option for AI or ML? And this is something I've talked reasonably at length about. I think that it really depends. In the US at least, master's programs are expensive, and I don't think you should ever go into debt to pursue this career path. I think that you can land a data science and machine learning and AI position without a master's degree if you're either going into a data analyst position first, a software engineering position first, you're building out an incredible portfolio. Those are things that can 100% help you to land a role with less of a time commitment. And like in theory, like most master's degrees are 1 or 2 years. You can build an incredible portfolio or land one of these jobs in 6 months to a year, right? So in terms of the cost and the time investment, I think I would rather see someone invest all that time and effort into projects rather than a master's degree. On the flip side, if you really need a structured curriculum, I personally did when I was going back to school. I don't think I would now with the level of maturity that I've developed, hopefully. I don't think my parents would agree. But I think that it's really up to you and your financial situation and the risk you're willing to take on. Next is websites or methods, which we can find freelancing, internship work in the data science field. Upwork is a good one. There's a couple other ones that I can't quite remember. In the chat, if anyone has some of those contracting websites, definitely put them up. I would also say on Kaggle, if you do well, you can make money. I mean, it's a very small proportion of people that do that, but it it could be worth it. You also build your portfolio at the same time. So investing time there would be very effective. Let's see here. I see Ibrahim has entered the chat. Welcome, Ibrahim. Um, Ecstasy, will not. I will be not eating the peel like I did in one of my videos. The peel is very bitter. I learned the hard way. On the other hand, a fruit that you can eat the peel on, which really freaks people out, is a kiwi. So it's like kind of fuzzy on the outside. It might seem like really gross to eat the peel, but it actually isn't that bad. It's just a little bit sour, and peeling the kiwi is a huge pain in the butt. So I don't always eat the peel on the kiwi, but when I was working at one of my old companies, I like had a meeting with my boss, and I just ate a kiwi with the peel on in front of him, and it freaked him out. I was playing some mind games. Then I asked for promotion. Uh, I'll leave it to your imagination if he gave it to me or not. All right, so the next question is, congrats. What kind of projects can people work on in data science that can showcase real business impact if they cannot access data in their company or org and are out of school? So to me, this question I think is really important. There's a lot of places to get data that has real impact. And one of my favorite places is in a community. So we have a community here. If someone was like, Ken, I want to analyze all your comment data and help you to improve your channel or whatever it might be, or give you better feedback rather than having to look at these in isolation, I'd say great. If we're talking about the 66 days of data community, there's also things associated with that where someone could scrape the most common resources that people are sharing, or common questions, or whatever that might be. So I think that there's an incredible place within communities, and those are just my communities. There's so many Reddit communities, there's so many other Discord servers, whether it's a community around your favorite game or a sports topic, there's data out there, and you can always create value for communities. So, and people really do appreciate those types of things. Where do I see my YouTube channel in 2 to 5 years? I enjoy making content for the sake of making content. I like helping people. I would just hope that this channel evolves and I'm allowed, and I can, and people enjoy seeing me inject a bit more of my personality and my philosophy into my content. I really am someone who's heavily interested in personal improvement and sort of the self-help niche. And I'd love to inject a little bit more of that into my channel. I think I do a reasonable amount of that. I mean, the 66 Days of Data initiative is a hybrid of, habit forming and this field of data science. And I'd like to be able to kind of, play on that boundary quite a bit. To me, that's the type of content that I get the most joy in creating. I'd also like to share more of the projects I'm doing. Frankly, I'm getting absolutely demolished by work right now, so I haven't been able to invest as much time in the broader projects as I'd like. But those are a couple of the things I'd like to do. I don't have any, numbers associated with that in terms of growth. It's just I'd like to be able to use this YouTube community to lever into other very impactful communities. I want to grow the 66 Days of Data. I want to grow some of these other initiatives and some of these other platforms to be able to tell a lot of stories. If you guys have noticed, I've spent a lot of time on the podcast this year, and that's something that I think, to be fair, might create even more value than my YouTube channel, because I'm sharing more experiences than just my own. Bringing in and being able to share, what Luke's journey or Nicholas's journey or John David's journey from here is something that, to me, it extends beyond my capabilities, and I love being able to share those messages and those broader ideas. Andrew Mo has made it. How's it going? I would argue that Andrew's stream is one of the best on the internet. I'm new to the stream, so to the streaming, it happens very, very rarely. We'll take maybe a question or two from the chat if we have one. So someone is asking why there's a papaya behind me, and you just gotta stay on guard. You gotta always be hungry, and the papaya up there reminds me to stay hungry. Uh, that's all I got. uh, I'll get back to these. I'm gonna hop over to a couple. I think there are only a few LinkedIn and a few Twitter questions, so let's just tackle these really quickly. Um, Alyssa asks, how do you come up with business ideas, data science projects, or topics for your podcasts and YouTube channel? That is a very loaded question, and I don't think Alyssa's going to like my answer. But the answer is that I just live life and I try to observe it, right? I try to look at the problems that I'm having. I try to look at the problems other people are having. I try to think of projects and solutions that would be valuable to me and to other people. I'm constantly looking at and evaluating and collecting my own data. And if I'm doing that, and if I'm running into a certain roadblock, whether it's related to content creation, whether it's related to my day job, or whether it's related to any of these other things, I say, hey, is this problem specific to me? If it's not, a project probably would be relevant. If it's a really big problem that a lot of people are facing and I don't think anyone has solved yet, that could be a company potentially. And realistically, that's how my YouTube channel started. Is I essentially went in and I made a couple of videos, and the first one got pretty good traction. It was for a project that I did, but I kept making videos because I realized that there weren't really any people that were talking about their experience getting into the data science field, and that was something I really struggled with. There weren't articles to read, there weren't videos to watch, or at least there weren't any that I had found to date that could help guide me on my journey or what to learn, what not to learn. And I just started documenting my experiences and my mistakes, and it seems like other people are also having that problem. So, it created value for them, and I guess now we're here, right? Now we're here celebrating the community of over 150,000. Let's see here. We have, what do you think about the discussion that data science has now become obsolete? Basically, tools will become more mature, coding, etc. This is something I'm actually going to answer in a video. I don't think data science will become obsolete. I mean, let's look at a parallel field. Let's look at accounting or taxes. I still pay my accountant a ton of money, and literally everything that he does can be automated. There's nuance to analysis, there's nuance to these systems, and it takes a really long time for machines or data or technology to essentially manage all of the fringe cases and all of the nuance. I'd also say that the people that are saying that data science is becoming obsolete are at the very pinnacle of the field. They're seeing the most advanced technologies that are being levered by the most tech forward companies. And not all companies are tech forward. There's plenty of companies that are barely leveraging data science right now. And frankly, in 10 years, they might just be starting on their data science journey. And they're going to need to hire data analysts, data scientists, data engineers, whatever it might be. So there's this huge time lag effect. And there's also this effect that not all companies are at the same place. We have to slowly progress. These companies have to walk before they can run. And they're going to need data scientists. The data science role might change a little bit. Like maybe it's more oversight than it is coding and implementation. But I don't think the need for the skill set is going to dissipate in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Thank you for the congrats, everyone. I'm going to keep going with some of the chat questions. I saw one about esport analysis. And Mario is heavy. Definitely shoot me a note on Discord if I miss anything. I'm going back through. Okay, perfect. You guys are both sending me stuff. I'll go back through those in a second. The esports stuff is really interesting to me. There's a lot of metadata that's collected. I love that idea that more so than regular sports, all of the data is there. It's complete. And to me, there's going to be a huge renaissance of these esports teams using technology more effectively. I also think it's completely in its nascency. There's really not a lot being done there. And correct me if I'm wrong. That might not be the case. But there's a huge opportunity there. It seems like the athletes would be very receptive to it. And there's also a huge opportunity for improvement and real-time feedback within that space. So if anyone is trying to like do business there and they need a consultant around data science, definitely let me know. All right, let's hop over to LinkedIn real quick, and then I promise I will get to all the chat questions. Um, let's see here. Congrats, Alex the Analyst. Definitely check out his stuff. Same with William Pearson, George Firkan. Boris is, I think, the longest standing member of 66 Days of Data. He's been doing it for almost a year, which is pretty incredible. Let's keep going here. There was one really good question that I saw in here, if I recall. I do appreciate all of the congratulations. Again, this is a group community effort. This is not a Ken effort. But the congratulations definitely feel nice on the platforms. John T. Miller, my daily routine and how do you find time to create content and build models? I really like this question because my daily routine has changed quite a bit. Usually I go to bed at a reasonable time. My daily routine starts at night so I can wake up at a proper time. And I stopped using an alarm this year. So I went through and realized that sleep was a huge priority for me. Exercise was a huge priority for me. So I tried to make those the staples of my day-to-day life. So the first thing I do when I wake up, I drink some water, I go downstairs, I either bike or I go for a run. That exercise is usually around 20 minutes, but I try to make it pretty intense. Since I started this new 66 Days of Data challenge, I also wanted to experiment with programming myself a little bit. So I know Luke heard about this, but I've been listening to, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with David Goggins. He's this like lunatic, a crazy ex-Navy SEAL, ultra-marathon runner. But I've been listening to his podcasts every morning. So he's been interviewed in a bunch of podcasts. And he has this very incredible mindset that everything that you do, like to suffer or to struggle, it means you're moving forward and you're training yourself for later challenges. So I've been just super fired up listening to that, like ready to run through a wall, just get stoked on the day to start things off. And then I come back, I write down in my journal, I write like the same 10 things every day. So I write down, I doubt that's legible, but like the things that over time I've wanted to cultivate in my life. So like to improve myself, to be happy but not content where I am, to be in great shape, to read a lot, to pursue some form of mastery, whether that's in data science and physical conditioning and in my own mind or whatever that might be, to visualize and meditate every day, to love the process of what I'm doing, to follow my passions, to be someone that takes action. That's been something that I've been really focusing on a lot in more recent days. Also to kind of live in the present. A lot of these are sort of these meditative thoughts, but I really do, at least writing them down, it helps me to bring them into my life. To learn something new, to do difficult things, and then to stay organized, which is kind of my keystone thing, is that historically I've not been great at organization. And more recently I've been writing down a couple of the things that I do to stay motivated each day. So what are the things that really drive me? What are the things I've that get me going? And a lot of that is creating value for others. A lot of that is also a little bit selfish and thinking about testing myself and figuring out over time, what am I capable of? I'd love to push the limits of my biology, my mind, and those types of things, and seeing where I shake out is something that has been a constant fun and ongoing test for me. And then the rest of the day I just work. I take some breaks. Maybe I'll shoot around some basketball in the park next door for a break. I usually don't eat lunch until around 1 or 2. I don't eat breakfast. I've been fasting for the last 3 or 4 years, and I found that to be effective for me not getting fat. But yeah, I mean that's generally the process I take. Okay, so I think I missed a couple questions. One from Stephen Giles. So what advice would you give someone who has 3 years of professional experience in ML but can't share work openly due to confidentiality constraints? That's a really good question. So for better or for worse, I still think you kind of have to do some projects, but the very least, you still have that work experience that you have on your resume. And companies understand if you can't share these things due to confidentiality constraints. I would spend a lot of time thinking about how you would describe these things without giving away the confidentiality aspect. So like at a high level, what did you do? You don't have to talk about the individual models, but you could talk a lot about hypotheticals and how you did things. David asked, okay, so the obsolete one. When are you planning to do another data science project from scratch, or do you know any other YouTuber who does something similar, like the data science project from scratch? So I have two Kaggle projects from scratch that I recommend checking out. That is the only difference between that and the data science project from scratch is I didn't scrape the data from Kaggle, right? The data's already available. Alex Freeberg has been doing some projects on the Alex the Analyst channel. Definitely recommend checking those out. Those are more data analysis projects. I'm planning to do another one before the end of the year. Those just take me so much time, and I have quite a bit of work through the end of September and October. I actually do have a ultra top secret project that I'm working on that I'm really excited to share with y'all at the end of the year. So I can't give too many details on that now, but I'm super stoked, and I think you all will be as well. John David from How to Get an Analytics Job asked, how are you liking teaching? Also, do you want to do a guest lecture in the class next semester for Greensboro College? So for those that don't know, I taught a course called Designing Ethical AI Systems at DePaul University this year. It's for their design students, not for their data science students. And it was awesome. I love teaching. I honestly like making YouTube videos quite a bit more. I feel like I have a lot broader impact. In a classroom, you're teaching, 30, 40 students. And I'd rather make a lot broader impact that I feel is just as deep on YouTube or through my courses or whatever it might be than in the classroom. But I'm definitely open to doing classroom work again. And I'd love to come in and do a guest lecture. John David, I might ask, why don't you just have a panel? Like me, Luke, and someone else can come in. Then we don't have to do as much prep. So awesome. Let's get back to a couple. Yeah, yes, DePaul in Chicago has this. Let's see here. Thank you again for the congrats, Andrew Mo. Also, Seattle Data Guy is in the building. He is absolutely crushing it. Big fan of his content as well. I love being able to shout out a lot of the people whose content I actually follow. I don't know if my subscriptions are public on YouTube, but definitely go check those out. There's a lot of incredible content creators that I follow. Whenever I find someone new in the data space, even if they're not very big, I like to follow them because, it's a part of what I do. I'm a little bit a student of the game, but I also just like meeting people. I like growing a community, especially when they have a similar mindset or similar interest as myself. So Farhat, who is a Kaggle Grandmaster, I highly recommend checking out him on Kaggle. He has some pretty incredible stuff there. He's also an awesome guy. He's another Z by HP ambassador like myself. And he asked what the biggest challenge before I reach 1K. I'm not sure if he means 100,000. Oh, we have a guest. Here, come in and screen. This is Jeff. So Jeff Lee, I've interviewed him on my podcast. He's been living with me for the last couple of weeks. He's leaving Sunday, but awesome guy, senior data scientist at Spotify. So he's also a lot smarter and a lot richer than I am. So no, so it's a really fun. Does anyone have any questions for Jeff since he's in here?
It's the first time I've ever done this. What up?
Yeah. Can you hear Jeff okay? Yeah, so Jeff is a big time surfer. That's a big thing for him. He's been crushing it out here. If you haven't seen our podcast episode, I highly recommend it because Jeff has done some pretty incredible stuff in terms of individual learning. He did this challenge where, actually, tell us about the challenge, the 12 months or like something new. What was the challenge called
Yeah,
again?
yeah. So the challenge is called Month to Master. So it was over the course of a year. Basically, challenged myself to learn one skill per month, and that skill ranged from saying becoming conversational in Spanish to like memorizing a deck of cards in under 3 minutes to learning how to freestyle pop. So there's I have a blog on it, so if you're interested, you can check it out. Just search Jeff Lee Month to Master. It should be on Google. And yeah, that's hopefully it inspires you guys to take on your own learning projects and continue to just keep growing your knowledge in whatever skill, including data science or outside of data science. And yeah, that's probably my TLDR there.
Yeah, I will say so. I think something came in about if Jeff had a master's degree. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so no, I don't have a master's degree. I only have a bachelor's degree, and yeah, and I didn't get a bachelor's degree in computer science or math. I actually had it more in business, so I didn't have a quote unquote technical degree.
Awesome. And so someone says, um, "Do I want? Am I interested in working at a bigger tech company like Spotify?" Um, Honest answer, probably not. I really like where I work. I have a ton of autonomy. I'm allowed to create content, 20 hours a week in addition to working, you know, 40-ish hours a week. And I don't think that you have freedom like that at a lot of the larger tech companies. Maybe if it was like YouTube and it was part of their whatever it was. Well, the camera's going crazy. I kind of like this though. Um, so probably not. I think if the right role came up and I felt like I could have really incredible impact, then I probably would consider it. But aside from that, probably not. Jeff, what was your bachelor's in? I think it was the same as mine, no?
Yeah, yeah, we had the same bachelor's, so I had it in business.
Yeah. Mine was economics, but I minored in business. So, um, awesome. So,
Dude.
some advice on being self-study data scientists. Um, Honestly, my best advice for self-study is to get started somewhere. I think a lot of people, we have so much apprehension about what the right resources are, um, and about if we're going about it the right way. Honestly, a lot of the resources out there are great. I recommend choosing one, starting to get your hands dirty, and start learning. I think that we just have, we just get too nervous about where to start and if we're on the right track. And learning isn't additive. Right? I mean, learning is additive. It's not, just because we learn one thing, we can't learn another thing. So that to me has always been a very powerful sentiment. Yeah, I'm in. I think I follow all of them. Uh, like I think my subscribers are open on my channel, like who I follow. If not, I'll try to compile a list of a bunch of the YouTubers that I follow. Um, uh, just and some of the resources. I think at the end of the year, I'm actually going to go through and write a blog post or something of all of the people I follow on LinkedIn, all the people I follow on YouTube, all of the bloggers that I follow, those types of things. Um, yeah, I mean he's a little better looking than I am, so why wouldn't it follow him, right? The camera that
Not
is.
necessarily.
He's definitely in better physical condition. Yeah, I'm using this Logi Stream Cam, and it just auto. Actually, I can turn the auto zoom off if we want. Here we go. We can do no auto framing. There we go. So it'll be more static. I'll turn it back on once I start dancing around and doing whatever. Um, so computer. So we'll do a couple more from the chat, and then I'll get into Farhat's question here about what I did, the biggest challenge before reaching 1,000. So I'm a computer science master's student that wants a data science job as a new grad in a year. Should I switch my degree over or just start focusing on data science projects? Um, I 100% would not switch your degree over. I personally believe that a computer science master's degree is just as strong potentially, if not stronger than a data science master's degree, because you do have that ability to build significantly more things than coming out of a pure data science degree. I did my own master's in computer science. I did my own master's degree in computer science, and I found that to be very valuable. I also was able to take quite a few ML classes, and I was able to concentrate in machine learning and AI within that degree. So definitely, in my opinion, I would recommend just focusing on the project stuff associated with that. A STEM degree, a technical degree, I think is all people are looking for in that sense. And again, just like Jessa, you don't need the technical degree, but if you're going the master's route, I don't think they really care if it's a master's in statistics, a master's in computer science, or a master's in data science. They just want to see the relevant projects and know that you have a degree. Ken, can you give me an example or where to find one of using in-depth statistics in a project, or do data scientists treat statistics just as a prerequisite to understand subject areas like machine learning? So I actually think personally, I use statistics more in the latter, where we're using it to understand what our algorithms are doing. I think statistics is particularly relevant for parameter tuning and understanding why and when we can use specific models. What do you think about that one?
So the question is, in that, like, can you give an example of using in-depth? So I mean, I feel like statistics, the way I see it, it kind of forms kind of the base layer for a lot of the data science that you do use. Where I can see actually statistics being pretty used in depth in any project is if you want to do some sort of like insights, exploratory analysis related projects. So if you want to kind of answer a specific question related to the data set, oftentimes you'll need to run correlation analysis, maybe run basic regression analysis, or you want to like infer some sort of causality. So you want to say, hey, I took this action, like I don't know, what's a random example I can think of. I want to know if eating fruit, papayas, improves my health. So answering like causal questions,
yes,
typically will require you to know statistics, and it's not necessarily always needing to use machine learning. Some questions can just be answered with statistics.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I think something that's very common in data science is A/B testing, and A/B testing, you're essentially either using a t-test or an ANOVA or whatever it might be if you have A, B, C, D testing. And that's like in my mind, a pretty pure use case for statistics concepts. There's no machine learning being done. You're just evaluating if the two groups are different, but it's still unbelievably useful. Another area like that we're using a lot of statistics is in simulation. And so I took a Monte Carlo simulation class in grad school, and I use it significantly more than I thought I ever would. And that's a very, a significantly heavier focus on statistics than machine learning in my mind. All right, finally getting back to Farhat's question. Again, Farhat is awesome. Highly recommend you check out his content and you follow him. I'm probably going to have him on my podcast soon. And did I hear Al Bellamy is in the chat as well? If so, welcome. Very exciting person to have around. Okay, so back to Farhat. Sorry, I'm like a goldfish. My biggest challenge before reaching 1,000 subscribers in my mind was honestly just getting out of my own way and getting over some of the imposter syndrome I had about sharing. So what I realized is that I loved sharing the process. And if you share the process, if you share what you're working on, you share that, that you're not an expert, people are still willing to watch and still willing to listen, and you can still create value. But finding your voice in the first periods of content creation can be difficult, but it is so worth it. I hope. I don't think you'll ever hear me say that, hey, I'm an expert at this, or within this domain, I'm a master of whatever it is. I'm still really aggressively on this learning journey with you all. There are things that I've taken away from my experience so far and that I hope would be beneficial. but my word is never going to be gospel. Like, even the stuff that I say about projects, even the stuff I say about master's degrees, that's all based on my own experience, right? That's not something that if someone disagrees with me and they have different experiences, I would 100% listen to those and be interested in their perspective. And again, that's one of the reasons why I have the podcast, and I get to talk to, over now 50, 55 different people on their experiences with this domain. And I've changed my opinion on some things, but I've also been able to reinforce my opinion on some things as well. And I'm also a little offended. I don't know if anyone has commented on my shirt. It has a bunch of tiny dinosaurs on it, but it's pretty awesome. As you can see, it matches my dinosaur light way up there. Let's just move on to a couple Twitter questions, and we can knock out the rest of the YouTube comment questions. And I'll probably have Jeff's input on some of this as well. It's always nice to have someone to kind of bounce ideas off of. I was feeling lonely up here. Not that being around you all was making me lonely, but so the first is from OJ. So OJ's out in Europe, I think in London, and I did a little panel for him and his work a couple months ago. It was really interesting. I forget what university he works at, but it was an awesome experience. And so it says, if I wasn't working in data, why would I be working as a hair model? And to be honest, I don't think I would be working as a hair model. I do greatly appreciate the compliment, the constant compliments on my hair. I'm not sure where that came from. I think objectively both my parents have like pretty bad hair, and it combined to give me decent hair. I mean, so my dad is Chinese and he has very straight hair, and my mom is Caucasian and she has very frizzy hair, and it just made a nice mix of somewhat decent volume and a little bit of waves. So if I wasn't working in data, honestly, I'm realizing I probably want to do something in food. Some of the things I love are sports, food, data science, and personal improvement. If I had to like evaluate and be really introspective about those things, and I think that would be a good focus. The next question that OJ here has is, why do I care so much about data science outreach as I do? And honestly, I've always felt like I wanted to make an impact in whatever I did. I've always felt that, I'm someone that I try to serve others, and it brings selfishly, it brings a ton of joy for me to feel like I've helped other people out. And making videos, making content, creating communities are a way that I feel I can leverage some skills that I have, whether it's interpersonal skills, whether it's creativity, whether it's data, to create fun things that I'd like to be a part of. Something that a perfect life for me is where I can envision these things that I want to build, and I bring them into the world. And YouTube and content in these communities are one of the first ways and the best ways to be able to do that. So I think that's some pretty fun stuff, and I'm glad I'm glad I'm able to do that. And so if we took all my data science friends and put them in a golf tournament, who would I see coming in second? That's a good question.
Oh, it would be me.
Jeff? Do you think you'd take out Jay?
No, I don't think so.
Honestly, not many of my data science friends are good at golf. I take that back. There's one, Rick Run Good, has a YouTube channel, which is focused on golf analytics. I would imagine that he has to be at least okay at golf. So I'd probably put him up there, but I think it would be a very distant second. I'm still pretty good, I think. Miss Amador, who is awesome. She's been participated in, I think, every round of the 66 days of data with me. So where can I look for resources to learn about scaling and time series and examples I could use for inspiration? So that's a good question. I think Kaggle has a time series module. I almost always default to Kaggle. Time series, though, in general, I think is a great place for that is just looking at financial data. That's one of the most robust and well-known data sets, and there's a lot of examples of people analyzing that. You have any thoughts on
Yeah.
time
So,
series?
so I've worked a good amount with time series. So I would look up Robert J. Hyndman,
I'll just type that in.
Hyndam.
He's typing it into chat. I probably should just respond to her on Twitter, but
How do I?
oh yeah.
Robert. He's like the professor that really kind of drove a lot of the new research around time series models. He wrote a lot of the textbooks around time series, so you could probably just Google him. He has an online introductory textbook that's really good for time series, and he has his, if you want something more complex, his website has a lot of his own papers as well. So he's kind of at the forefront of that field.
Sick. I knew you were the guest in the show for a good reason, Jeff, because I did not know much about time series. It's not something I've focused on that much. I see Andrada has said some really great things on my content. Andrada is a rock star as well on Kaggle. She is, I think, she's a grandmaster for notebooks. So she's putting out her analysis. She had a really fun one about crypto prices and Elon Musk tweets, which I highly recommend checking out. And Alex, the analyst, has made it in. Alex, I know you just said that I'm your inspiration, but you're my inspiration. And I also owe you like a bunch of emails. I've been behind. Alex and I are planning also possibly a little collaboration up in the air. And I have not been carrying my weight to date. So so get excited about some of the opportunities and the fun stuff coming there. Alex, I'd also mentioned your data analyst project series. So for anyone who's looking down the analyst path, anyone that wants some extra practice on projects, definitely check those out. All right, we're finally back to the YouTube comments. Oh, I wasn't supposed to tell them the secrets, guys. Alex, I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to send an assassin to take me out, or like, you know, copyright strike or something. Like, don't do that though, seriously. Something that actually that would be pretty good. I think Alex would come in second from the question before. I completely forgot. Alex played golf in college at a significantly more competitive college than I did. Not something he tells people about. But he also has children, so, you know, I probably have slightly more time on my hands than he does. Let's see here. Okay. So Saikuran, hope I pronounced that even close to right. My question is, I have 11 years of experience in ERP, and now I'd like to have a career transition towards data science and machine learning. Is it a good choice? What's ERP? Enterprise Resource Planning?
Yeah. I worked a little bit in it before.
These questions are always difficult for me because I believe that you're going to be effective and it'd be fun, and you'd appreciate a data science role if you enjoy what you're doing. And I'm certain you can make plenty of money in ERP. If this person has a love for data science and they love integrating it with what they're working on, then absolutely it's a good idea. I don't think ERP and data science skills would be that far different. But I also think if it's like, hey, do you think if he's asking me, would this be a good decision from a financial perspective or whatever it might be, I would say actually like it's 50-50, right? If you're making a career transition, there's no guarantees. There's also, you know, some probability that they don't like data science, which is completely possible. And I would look a lot more introspectively than looking to me for the answer to that question. The next question is from Nicholas. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Renaud. He has an awesome YouTube channel. I'm going to have him on my podcast as well. He does so many projects with deep learning. Someone asked about other project from scratch type stuff. He has a bunch of them, especially related to computer vision. So I 100% would check out his channel. I watched one of his videos for 66 days of data. I haven't finished the papaya. It's still here. So this is for your viewing pleasure. I'll eat a little bit more of that. I also have some lychee. So we might feast a little bit on some roots in a second. But so Nicholas says, awesome work. How do you handle the ridiculously fast rate of change within the industry and the expectation of being across such a broad range of subject matters? For reference, I got asked to do LDA the other day and I blanked. Haven't used it in 2 years. So I think one of the greatest skills you can learn and one of the most powerful skills you can learn in this domain is to be able to pick something up quickly. There are a lot of tools. There are a lot of different libraries, modules, whatever it might be. The nice thing is that a lot of these libraries and modules are not that different from each other. The way you implement things, like they're all based on objects. They all have methods. And being able to look at a new tool and to understand how to use it in a relatively short period of time, I think is paramount. And so I think it's important to learn a couple tools really well and to be powerful with them. But you also want to test yourself and see if you can learn a new package every so often. I mean, I've experimented with matplotlib, Seaborn, which is kind of the exact same thing. I use Plotly quite a bit now. I experimented with Altair, and these are just a couple of the different visualization modules that are out there. And now when I pick up a new visualization tool, it's relatively intuitive. I have this framework for how these other ones worked, and I can adjust to those pretty quickly. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty well said. I mean, I think definitely when you know the fundamentals really well. So I think that there's like an idea from Nassim Taleb where he talks about this idea of the Lindy effect. And the Lindy effect basically says that for something that's been around longer, it's more likely to stick around into the future. So I would say within data science, it's probably better to know the ideas that are less likely to change. So that comes down to the fundamentals, a lot of the statistics. I do think linear regression, logistic regression, those types of concepts, like understanding those at a fundamental level will unlock like other models and make it easier to understand other models. So I would just say to keep up, like Ken said, just you have to be good at like being able to teach yourself things quickly. And I think the rate at which you can teach yourself things quickly comes from when you understand the fundamentals very well.
Awesome. That was a very good answer. You clearly thought about that one. Are you sure you didn't prepare? No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's the wrapping. Yeah.
All right. So someone had a question a lot earlier, I think almost like 20 minutes ago, about they're taking R courses and they don't know if it's better to change to Python or to stay in R. That's something. So I think there's frankly slightly more opportunities associated with Python. It's just more widely used within the domain. But I think learning Python after learning R is not very difficult. I think that you should just, if you're taking classes in it, you might as well do some projects in it, in R, and continue to do that. And then once you've reached a point where you feel like you're good at R, then transition over to Python. I don't personally, some people say it's like great to learn multiple programming languages at a time. I personally prefer to learn one at a time, and then I use like that kind of like transfer learning approach to learn the other one, because by definition there's going to be a lot of similarities either way. I will say after you know a couple and know them pretty well, you know, I think I learned Python first, and then Java and C, and then I learned some Scala and whatever it is. But after I have the understanding of fundamentals across all of this, I think it's not that hard to learn a couple at a time or to like experiment with a couple. But you do want to have that that kind of guiding light. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll say it depends on your goal. So if your goal is to work in industry, I think what Ken said, if you want to get a job, Python is probably the better language. However, I do think from the perspective of like kind of like your own projects, I would say if you do want to switch to Python, don't switch back to R. You have to commit. If you're going to switch, you're committed to Python. You're not allowed to switch, because if you just keep switching back and forth, like kind of you're kind of not really walking in a direct direction, then you're not really going to make as much progress. So if you do decide to switch to Python, stick to it. You're not allowed to change it again, and that's what I would have to say.
I see Alex posted it. How can I become a cool data scientist like me? First of all, I don't know if anyone should want to become a cool data scientist like me. One thing that I've learned from talking to a lot of people is that the journey you go through, the outcomes that you find, it's different for everyone based on what you enjoy and what you like. I mean, something that I clearly enjoy is autonomy. I also very much enjoy creation, and that's definitely not for everyone. I mean, I don't think everyone would like to make YouTube content or put themselves out there like this. I mean, I obviously enjoy it again, but again, not for everyone. Flawed Logic wants to know if I lift. Yes, I actually used to lift a lot. In college, I got up to around like 215 pounds. I was big. I like lifted like usually around 4 days a week. I just eat a lot and get massive. And then I transferred and started taking golf more seriously, and I lost a bunch of weight. And I sit around like 180 pounds now. But I still go to the gym. I exercise. I like jacked up my back really bad, so I don't lift quite as heavy as I used to. Just for you, Alex. Actually, Alex the Analyst in our Sydney, Alex the Analyst in our in the podcast we did, I think he talks about that and why he probably would not like to become a data scientist anytime soon. Dun dun dun. All right, let's crank out a couple more of these. Want to learn machine learning for gaming? From where and what can I start? I don't think that that's any different than where you'd start learning machine learning to begin with. I mean, I always recommend Kaggle. Free Code Camp is great. Obviously, I have a great relationship with 365 Data Science, which I highly recommend. That's the only coursework that I can give a discount for, so you can find that in any of the descriptions of my videos as well. But I would just start working with gaming data. I think that there's plenty of it on Kaggle. If anyone knows of good gaming data sources, definitely leave Kahil a comment there. 60-second Finance wants to know what the best educational path for data science is in terms of degrees, majors, concentrations, etc. Again, I think this is a really hard question. What I've found is that, again, I've interviewed over 50 people within this field, and I don't think a single two of them have gone the same career path in terms of their education. Maybe some had similar majors, but the way they learned the skills, the way they went down their career path has all been different. I will say, if I had to choose, I think that computer science is very strong, statistics, math, very strong, physics is also very strong, but you can definitely break into this field from economics, finance, whatever it might be. I actually just interviewed someone who studied women and gender studies in undergrad, and they became a data scientist. So your college, your background, your education degree, it can help, but you can break into this field from quite a very wide range of domains, especially if you like the field and you want to put in time and work related to the projects. So Anshul, I actually answered the day in the life question. I guess I answered what my routines are like. A day in the life. Actually, Jeff, what does a day in my life look like?
Like I can give like more detail.
Yeah, so, just like a high level. I already told him about my routines. Like I wake up and run and write, but like, do I work? What do I do? Like
he does not work. He just eats papaya, eats lychee, listens to David Goggins while riding a bicycle, and just hypes himself up.
Yeah. You don't know me, son.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ken's in kind of a unique situation where he has a lot of flexibility with his work, and it's very different from my schedule working at Spotify. But I think a lot of it, like since the nature of his work really depends on which projects he has going like what like the amount of influx in like say consulting needs, needs from his current job, YouTube needs as well. So it is really dynamic. It's hard for me to have like a typical day in the life, because I feel like for you, a typical day in the life is pretty different each day.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
some days I just like don't feel like working. I'll go play golf. Other days I'll work like like 15 hours and I'll be working at 9 at night. And it's just yeah, it's just like a pattern that I've gotten into. I think that like again, my sleeping patterns and my exercise patterns are fairly consistent. That's something that keeps me really stable. But but there's a lot of variance depending on the projects that I'm working on. These are the Sony WMX4s, Farhan. And Nessie, I actually do. I personally have a course on Udemy in 365 data science that helps with finding jobs and applying for jobs in data science. So Michael Bryant asks, does it look bad to not list your Kaggle on your resume, given you already have links to your portfolio in GitHub? I haven't used Kaggle as often to feel like it would be. You should add it on your resume. If you have a strong GitHub and it's on there, I wouldn't worry about it. You don't have to kind of double the work either way. There it is, Albert. Yeah, love me some David Goggins. Just trying to cultivate that mindset. Might have to have you put me through some military training if we ever meet up. Really test what I'm made of. I'll probably regret saying that if that ever happens, but it is what it is. Jason wants to know where I see my channel in 5 years. Any other type of specific content that I want to integrate and share? I think a similar question's been asked about the 5 years thing. I honestly don't really know. Other types of content. I'd love to be able to create more different styles of content down the road. So I don't think it would be on this channel, but I'd love to have one where I just talk about food. Maybe I cook, I go around, I try some different things. I'd love to have some sort of content around golf and my experience with that. I think I have a fairly unique experience and intersection around that. And then also about the human mind and how we push ourselves and like the philosophies and things that I've read about and the mindset that I've developed that hopefully help me to live a happier and healthier life. Do you want to spit some bars on Papayas?
Sure, I'm down.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Could we play a beat though?
Yeah. How do I find a like non-copyright beat?
I guess you can just search. Could you search YouTube or just search Google like free rap instrumentals? Yeah.
This probably works, sure, right?
Alright, let's see if we can do it. Alright, I'll weave in data.
Oh no, it won't. We're here. Just play it on your phone.
Okay. I'll weave in some data science as well.
Oh, love it. You guys are in for a treat. Should I get your ukulele? You could do it that way.
I could do that too.
Yeah. Okay. Here. Here.
I'll go get it.
Okay.
I'll go get it.
Jeff has been learning the ukulele when he's since he's been out here, and he's gonna ukulele and freestyle for us at the same time. So this has turned into a significantly more eventful stream than I thought it would be, but hey, great, right? In the interim, he's back already. All right, you want me to throw you words or?
Yeah, or you can have the chat throw words.
All right, chat. I'm gonna need you to just throw out some words. So we'll start with Papaya. Just type random words, whatever you want him to rap about, freestyle about.
Yo, sitting right here, you know I keep it real. I wanna see you know, and you know I'm feeling that feel. Oh, you wanna call me? I'm telling it the truth. You know I ain't a liar. I'm eating that papaya. I'm eating that papaya, and you know it. Eating that papaya, and you know I'm spitting fire, and you know I don't stop like a Goodyear tire. Oh, you see, my name is Jeff Lee. I'm eating that with Ken, the lychee, Mr. Ken G, 150. You wanna see it? You know I hit that flow. I'm eating that Mexican taco. Oh, look at me, you know. I say, I'm just a zebra. See, I'm just burning with machine learning. Oh, while I hit that flow, I wanna say I'm eating a hippo. I didn't say hippopotamus. I got that door hinge. You see me and I'm just eating that orange. Oh, you wanna just see ya? Oh, I'm just jumping up and down like a hyena, like a hyena. I wanna just vent. You know, I'm just sitting with Mr. Ken. Oh, you know, this is a legendary moment. You know you want more. I'm sitting right here on the river feeling moist. You know, I just got the tortoise. Oh, I just rhyme with that rhythm. Oh, tell me what? And you know I got that prism. Oh, I gon' be ya. With that soda, with that Coke and that soda, with that just... What? I messed up.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Oh, you got a fun little taste. We've been riffing all day. Maybe one day if a video gets, you know, if this live stream gets like, I don't know, like 4,000 likes or something, I'll freestyle. But until then, I'll practice. All right, we got like a couple more questions. I want to make sure I answer Luke's because he's on. And we'll just crank through these and then call it an awesome day, everyone. So my channel's amazing. Thank you very much, Andrit. How can we deal with imbalanced data set in logistic regression? From Mahadi. Data Professor has a really good video around dealing with imbalanced data. There's essentially 3 ways off the top of my head. So the first is undersampling, where you take the smaller dependent variable and you reduce the amount of data in the larger dependent variable to match that many rows. The next is oversampling, is where you multiply the smaller sampled one so it matches the amount of the larger sampled one. And then you have techniques like SMOTE, which are like systematic oversampling with some randomness involved. Did I miss anything?
I think you're good.
Perfect. How to continue to interact with a new connection on LinkedIn who could potentially help you to get a job. Honestly, I think just being a kind of a global citizen on LinkedIn is really important. Just if someone has a post that you like or you find interesting, comment on it, read it, like give them feedback. Especially if it's someone you'd like to connect with later, just make sure you're reading their posts, you're interacting with them. If someone is going on and interacting with a lot of my content either on YouTube or on LinkedIn or on Twitter, I'm so much more likely to interact with them if they send me an email or if they send me a direct message. It's just so much higher. And then Ibrahim, who is, I think he's won my leaderboard challenge once or so. Advice for those who have just started a full-time job. For example, how to respectfully tell your boss that this deadline is impossible. How to explain to a client his requirements can't be met 100%. How to be less agreeable. That's a good question. Less agreeable is difficult. I'm frankly a very agreeable person. And I think that you can set boundaries or you can push back in effective ways by choosing your words. So something that I always default to is asking other people how they would solve a problem, or also just breaking the task down into individual components and giving people an estimate of how long you'd expect them to take. People usually look at things in aggregate, and when we deconstruct them, it also helps them understand how much bigger this task is than they think. So just communicating a little differently, looking at these questions and problems a little bit differently, can be something that is very effective for you. Any thoughts on that? It's this one.
I mean, I think that was pretty well said. I would say usually, I mean, I think depends on your boss's background. So I think if the boss is very technical, they have a better understanding of how long something might take. Usually if it's somebody who is maybe less technical, they have a little bit like less leeway to tell you that you need to finish something by a certain time. So I think what Ken said is right. You break it down into components, explain to them. I would also find comparable projects and kind of give them a frame of reference for how long other similar projects have taken in the past. That way you can ground it in something more concrete.
Awesome. Kenny Wolf wants to know about self-teaching and landing a job in Switzerland. Honestly, I can't speak that effectively to that. It's not something I know that much about, unfortunately. But at the same time, there is a global economy for service work like this, and I would expect that there are opportunities in Switzerland as well. Assuming you have a portfolio, assuming you can network, I would just leverage LinkedIn and leverage these tools very well. I love this question. I think Zarmina is in the chat as well, I believe. What am I listening to lately? Podcasts, audiobooks, musics, etc. Um, this is pretty much exclusively David Goggins. I've been listening to a lot of the podcasts there. There's this guy called Akira the Don who makes mashups of like David Goggins and like Jocko Willenick, like motivational like speeches put to music. I haven't always been like this, but I've been really focusing on cultivating a mindset and focusing on those things. I'm reading Awaken the Giant Within, which is a Tony Robbins book. I read it 10 years ago and it completely changed my life, and so I'm rereading it, and it's a big self-exploration type of thing for me. In terms of music, I like just very upbeat music outside of the motivational speaking, and I've also been listening to Jeff play the ukulele and sing Free Falling. So he's leaving on Sunday, so I got to get it all in while I can. You're talking about a data science degree. What institutions are you referring to? Are there specific universities that I'm thinking of? There are not. Honestly, I don't know very much about the specifics of each of the individual institutions. I have looked at some curriculums, but I really don't feel comfortable making recommendations about specific schools or whatever that might be. I also think that I wouldn't be the best person to do that. I think that if you're looking at individual schools, ask alumni, ask people that have been there and get what they think. They probably have a really good understanding of if they were prepared with the curriculum that, once they get to the workforce, they'll let you know if they were prepared or they weren't for what they were seeing. Ecstasy, who's in the chat, how common are data structures and algorithms questions in data science interviews? That's a Jeff question.
No, not only if you're interviewing for a machine learning engineering position, but otherwise it's not very, maybe some like data science, machine learning, but I would say it's a very small percentage of most interviews.
Awesome. Yeah, Jeff has gone through the interview process significantly more recently than I have. So I figured he was a good person to answer that question. So Sanju asks, which mistakes should be avoided in the data science journey? Also, what skills data scientist companies look for? I have a whole video on 7 mistakes beginner data scientists make, so I will refer you to that one. Luda Mila wants to know how to become a data influencer. And that's a good question. Like, honestly, I don't refer to myself as an influencer. It's like weird and kind of cringy for me to think of that. I will say I am 100% a data science or a data content creator. And I think that that's where it starts, is by creating content. And if people are watching your content, people are consuming what you're saying, then that's where you might have the ability to influence opinion or influence thoughts or whatever that might be. So I think that I would really focus on the creation of things and value, and then eventually maybe you will become an influencer, but that definitely shouldn't be the end goal. I mean, to be completely honest, I don't know what becoming an influencer, what value that has. I see the value of creating content, I like even financial value or whatever it is, but to me there's not even a financial value of like that influencer status. So it's like this weird kind of interesting thing. Let's see here. We only have a couple more. There we go. Luke, you have a video transitioning from data analyst to data scientist, but hear me out. Have you ever considered transitioning from data scientist to data analyst? Come to the dark side. Um, I honestly enjoy some of the visualization work that I do. I enjoy telling stories and I enjoy those questions. I think that honestly, I do a lot of data analyst work in the work that I currently do still. And I don't know if I'd want to do it full time, but I enjoy doing data analysis. So I don't know if I would go back, but I wouldn't be totally against it. And I think it's a fun and awesome career path. Uh, so um, so yeah, Jeff, what do you think?
I would say probably not, but I think it's definitely an interesting question because most people will want to transition from a data analyst to a data scientist. I mean, I think the way I interpret it, it's like kind of semantics. It depends on how the company, the location, how they define what a data analyst and a data scientist is. So, I mean, I guess I could see myself transitioning if the role itself was just a lot more appealing and they just called it something different. But yeah, I think it's less about the title from my perspective, more about just the just what does the job actually entail versus the actual title.
Yeah, Luke, I would say that we're all on the data dark side to begin. We're all on the dark side anyway. Dun dun dun, you're correct, Sebi. What if? What if? What if I was just like a chef all along and I was made this YouTube channel and all this stuff? That'd be pretty funny. All right, Piyush, who again, he is leading the Kenji channel leaderboard right now. So if everyone uh Pierce is an awesome person, but uh, target on his back for that top spot and that Z by HP ZBook Studio, which I'm using now. So, would you like to share your daily lifestyle through vlogs? Yes, I enjoy vlogging. The time commitment for vlogs is a little high, and historically they haven't really done that well in terms of viewership. Honestly, I don't really base my video creation decisions on viewership, but it is a factor that goes into them. Do I have any plans to launch any courses on YouTube? Um, it's a little early, but Jeff and I were actually talking about potentially creating a course down the road. So could be something to pay attention to. I don't know if it would be on YouTube. It'd probably be through 365 Data Science. Again, I've had an awesome relationship with them. And frankly, some of the financial aspects of that allows us to do like a better job. If I had to do the time constraints associated with my current role and create a course and create content, I just like don't think I could do it without the help from a third party company. And then other than sports analytics, which is your favorite field to apply data science skills? And I think the easy answer for me is on my own personal health and on my own personal lifestyle. That to me is fascinating. How do I improve myself? How do I get better? Whatever it might be.
I'm gonna head out, Ken.
Okay, cool. Thanks for tuning in, Jeff.
Yeah, nice.
I have a couple more
Meeting
questions.
everybody, but I'll catch you later.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I have a couple more questions. We'll do a couple more from chat after we get through these, and we'll end at 30. So, how important is full stack development for a data scientist? I think it depends on your role. If you want to be a machine learning engineer, it's probably a little more important. If you don't, it's probably a lot less important. Oh, you can get some like my food in the frame. How fun is that? And then, yes, Jeff will do a summary freestyle of every of every video in the course we produce. What compelled me to start my YouTube channel? That's a really good one. I think I touched on it before, but I just felt like there weren't resources out there that I was looking for when I was starting. And I wanted to make the resources that I wish I had had. And to that point, I also think that, I found that I enjoyed it. I liked this process, and I liked the overall feeling and the planning and the storytelling elements. And so it just worked out, and I kept making them, and people kept watching them. So is what it is. And then we have Anubhav. And so congrats, business skills for data science. Planning on making a video on that. main thing is like communicating your projects. That's very important. Freelancing, creating a portfolio, like going within network, I think is really important. Future goals, I think we touched on. How to search for the right data set. That's a tough one. I have a video. I think it's Go in Kaggle, Go in Communities, SparkNotes versions. Thanks for tuning in, Farhan. And then, do grades matter while applying for a PhD? I have absolutely no clue. I have not applied for a PhD. I'm sure we can ask a couple people who are PhDs. I don't know if we have any PhDs in the chat, but if anyone knows, I would assume it's relatively important, but I think there are probably other things that are more important in general. Let's see. Do we have any more questions? I'm trying to catch up a little bit. If there are any questions that I missed, definitely please recycle them in the chat. Someone was looking for the papaya. It is here. It is now half eaten. Well, actually, it's full eaten. We're starting on the lychee now, or the lychee, or whatever you want to call it. Growing up, we called them lychee. So a lot messier than I had thought. Not my best plan, but it is what it is. Yeah, I think that honestly, that's all I got. This was awesome. Thank you everyone for writing in the questions, participating in the chat. Thank you, Sebi and Mario, for moderating and keeping everything PG. Thanks, Luke, Al, Alex, the analyst, Seattle data guy, Andrew Moe, all the other YouTubers that I think tuned in. It was just awesome to be able to kind of share this experience and share this journey to date with everyone. So, I'm really, good question. Am I going to do more giveaways for 66 days of data? Yes, we have plenty of more stuff to give away. I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway accompanying one of the podcast episodes I'm doing in about 2 weeks with Stephanie Mullen. We've already given away a couple of copies of this book, Hands-on Data Analysis with Pandas, that I wrote the foreword to. Some of my better writing, if I had to say so myself. We're going to give away, I think, 10 of those copies on across Twitter, LinkedIn, and the Discord. And then we're going to give away 10 of the copies on YouTube for commenting on the podcast episode. So that'll be a good one. And then I have a bunch of 365 data science credits. I have a bunch of Udemy credits to give away, and a whatchamacallit, and the other thing, interview query, and man, I'm blanking. And NVIDIA Deep Learning Institute credits. So, yeah, that's all I got. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This was pretty incredible, and hopefully we'll do another one soon. I do the live streams every 50,000, so looking forward to it. Have a great one, everyone. Bye now.